Wanted to train the legs but offset loading the back, maybe due to a niggle, an old injury, or just a general deload or taper, then we have 3 methods to use with a load of exercises to work on to still get a great leg workout with less pressure on the back. We had a team member, Mart, who had this very issue that needed addressing. Due to a heavy fall while playing basketball, training legs became an issue as trying to do standard squats or deadlifts was way more painful than normal. As he was also not able to play, he wasn't wanting to lose the strength in his legs, but when he recovered. So we used in a lot of his experience, developing a program that worked to get a great leg workout without loading the spine up too much. When loading the spine, like in a standard squat, we call that axial loading. Now, axial loading overall is a good thing and something the body will adapt to, but generally deloading that from time to time is also a good thing just to help with a bit of recovery, especially if you have a niggle. Don't be trying to push through that all the time. Have an adjustment with some of the exercises in this video and then build back into it. So method 1 will offset the overall load needed, but without taking away the intensity on the legs. And it's doing single leg work. And we'll go through some of the best ways to do this. The first is a Bulgarian split squat, a great exercise that's not having any axial load and still one you can push towards failure. You can add weight to it, and if holding the weight on one side, that can be a good way to start getting some rehab or strengthening into the back as well, as is having to stabilize the body. Doing pistols to a raised surface is another great option to keep things challenging, not having to go all the way down with this either, as that might sometimes put more pressure on the back. You can also do a split squat. Your back will be straight up rather than bending forward, and even with a barbell, you'll be using less than half the weight as normal. So still some axial loading, but much less, and great for a deload. Another option is doing a leg press, but doing this also with a single leg, as you'll be using a lot less overall weight. And when placing the foot, go more towards the center with the foot turned slightly out. If going in line with the leg, you'll tend to find it puts more pressure on the opposite SIJ and a bit more uncomfortable for the back. Method 2 is working more on machines to help with offsetting. Depending on how bad things are, using a belt squat, if you have access to one, is a great option. It allows good loading for the legs without any of the axial loading coming down on the spine. Then it's doing standard things like a hamstring curl, but do a seated version instead of a laying, as when getting close to failure on a laying, the back can start getting involved more and take over, whereas seated, you won't have that problem. Then other things like leg extensions, hip abduction and adduction are all options as well. Doing calf raises, again, do it on a machine without the actual load, like a leg press, and also do it single legs so there's less overall loading at the same time. Method 3 is a pre-exhaust. This is where you're doing isolation and then a compound after, whether in a superset fashion or later in the workout. This is for if just wanting that deload of axial loading or coming back from a back issue. This is a great way to progress getting back into squats and things. So you could do a leg extension and then go straight into squats after. You'll be using a lot less weight as the legs will already be feeling it from the leg extension, and then combine this with keeping tension and keeping the tempo slow with a squat, and you definitely won't need to be going that heavy as your quads will be screaming. You can also do it so doing all the isolation work for other exercises suggested here, for doing the Bulgarians, the leg extension, the split squat, and then squats at the end of the workout when the legs are already feeling it. And again, then going a lot lighter, but still getting a lot out of the exercises, especially if you're combining that with keeping the tension and the tempo to still get those benefits and getting towards failure with a much lighter load. There is also a lot of leg exercises that tend to get missed generally. So watch this video next to see a really great tricep you can add in at the end of your leg workout, which also doesn't have any axial loading, but is focusing on the muscles that are commonly neglected with normal leg training in the gym.